Someone yells, and she hears the sound of the gun going off. She knows this sound so well, having been spearfishing all her life and practiced using the gun on land with her father. He taught her everything about spearfishing, starting when she was no more than 4 years old. He even taught her to hold her breath underwater for a very long time.
Scuba diving is for tourists. Real fishers free dive,
she hears his voice say, the second the spear whistles through the air. It hits Holly in the leg, and she tumbles to the ground. Holly falls to the pavement next to A1A with a scream. She hears giggles and voices behind her, but she can also hear something else. When she drags herself across the pavement, she can hear the sound of sirens.
Shit!
The voices behind her say.
We gotta get out of here. Run!
Chapter 1. September 2015. Blake Mills is enjoying his coffee at Starbucks. He enjoys it especially today. He is sipping it while looking at his own painting that they have just put up on display inside the shop. He has been trying to convince the owner of the local Starbucks in Cocoa Beach for ages to put up some of his art on display, and finally, Ray agreed to let him hang up one of his turtle paintings. Just for a short period, to see how it goes. It is Blake's personal favorite painting, and he hopes it will attract some business his way. As a small artist in a small town, it is hard to make a living, even though Blake offers paintings by order, so anyone can get one any way they want it, and can be sure it will fit their house or condo. It isn't exactly the way of life an artist is supposed to be, but it is the only way to do it if he wants to eat. Blake decides to make it a day of celebration, and buys an extra coffee and a piece of cake to eat as well. He takes a bite and enjoys the taste. "Looking good," a voice says behind him. He turns in his chair and looks into the eyes of Olivia. Olivia Hartman, the love of his life. Blake smiles to himself. "You came," he whispers and looks around. Being married, Olivia has to be careful whom she is seen with in this town. "Can I sit?" she asks, holding her own coffee in her hand. Blake pulls out a chair for her and she sits next to him. Blake feels a big thrill run through his body. He loves being with Olivia, and has never had the pleasure of doing so in public. They usually meet up at his studio and have sex between his paintings on the floor or up against a wall. He has never been to her place on Patrick Air Force Base, where she lives with her husband, a general in the Army. Blake is terrified of him, and a little of her as well, but that is part of what makes it so wonderfully exciting. At the age of 23, Blake isn't ready to settle down with anyone, and he isn't sure he is ever going to be. It isn't his style. He likes the carefree life, and being an artist, he can't exactly provide for a family anyway. Having children will only force him to forget his dreams and get a real job. It would no doubt please his father, but Blake doesn't want a real job. He doesn't want the house on the water or the 2 to 3 children. He isn't cut out for it, and his many girlfriends in the past never understood that. All of them thought they could change him, that they were the one who could make him realize that he wanted it all. But he really didn't. And he still doesn't. "It looks really great," Olivia says and sips her coffee. She is wearing multiple finger rings and bracelets, as always. She is delicate, yet strong. Used to be a fighter pilot in the Army. Blake thought that was so cool. Today, she no longer works, not since she married the general. She and Blake had met at the officers' club across the street from the base. He was there with a girl he had met at Grills in Cape Canaveral, who worked on base doing some contracting or something boring like that. She'd invited him to a party. It was by far the most boring affair, until he met a